Good afternoon. I wanted to share with you this new book structure I just learned. I took a class from the Austin Book Arts Center, and it's called a Limp Vellum binding. There was a renewed interest in this binding in the late 60s after the Florence flood of 1966, where it was discovered that the very old manuscripts that were covered with the vellum or parchment did a whole lot better survival-wise than a lot of the older manuscripts that had wood boards or paste boards, any sort of board type cover, because those literally, with the water, they were swelling up and splitting and just literally tearing the book apart. So in this class we learned, to do the basic part, and I keep items like this for future reference. So we learned to sew on supports called thongs, and the thongs are made out of alum tawed leather, which is very strong. You can see here I can really pull on that and it doesn't stretch and tear or do anything. And we learned to make what's called a primary end band, and that's an end band where you tie down, these are called tie downs that go back through the signature. You tie down at every single signature, and that's because this is structural. This becomes part of what holds the book together, so this has to be very strong. On other books of mine that you've seen where it was a purely decorative headband with silk thread, I probably tied down 3 or 4 times because it didn't need to serve any purpose other than being pretty. So the next step that you do is you learn to take this kind of card. It's 10-point card. You can get it, it's Stonehenge, you can get it through many sources. But you learn to make all of your measurements and create your cover, including learning how to make these kind of fold-in corners. It teaches you how to make the measurements, and the reason I like to keep this is because I can open this back up and look at my notes and remember exactly what I did to make the book and can make more in the future. So when you get brave, you take your expensive piece of parchment or vellum and you create the cover for that. This happens to be sheep, and up around this piece of parchment or vellum had to come up near the neck of the sheep where there's a lot of wrinkles, and those never completely flatten out, and it gives it a lot of wonderful texture and interest. So I really like the fact that it's not this pristine flat kind of thing. But once again, this is a non-adhesive kind of binding because you're lacing all of these things through, and they all fold in together, and you can reverse this and replace the cover if you ever damage it. Now the purist would be out there screaming, oh my goodness, that peg and frog closure, that's not historically correct. And they would be right. Most of the time what they did is they put in a lace like this, and they put one on this side, and then they tied it here. But I like to use my journals as travel notebooks, and ties sticking out here just catch on everything and don't work well for me, so I went with what's called a frog and peg closure. And you can get these little, they call them bone clasps. They actually make them, it's from the meat industry, I think they're all cow now, but they even make plastic Teflon ones, and they've just, I don't know if you can see, but they just have a little slit that you can pass a ribbon, or in this case the thong, through. The most common place that you see these is a lot of bookbinders also make decorative boxes, and a lot of times they use this closure on their boxes. So thank you for joining me. Hope you learned a little bit. See you later.